Hello everyone and welcome to a very special edition of World of Darkness News, Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition showcase of the preview, the very first preview that we have prepared to you together with Renegade, in which we would like to show you some content from the book. And in particular, in this case, we would like to show you the beginning of the book and what you will see once you will open the book and see the first few pages, the introduction to Werewolf the Apocalypse. This is just the beginning of our Werewolf the Apocalypse preview season. There's a lot more to come, but I would love to give you more gradually, and we'll see how this story will unfold. Of course, as usual, if you will have any thoughts, any comments about what we're presenting, you can always join us on our Discord, discord.gg/World of Darkness. We have Werewolf the Apocalypse channel in there, and there's a lot of people who are waiting for the new edition. And yeah, without further ado, let me just zoom out a little bit to show you the preview which we have for you today, which is a plenty of pages actually. That we've prepared from the very beginning of the book. And, well, I won't be reading it all, but I will read some, just so you can get a little bit of a glimpse at first. And then, of course, you will be able to get these pages from a Renegade product page, download them yourself, get through them in your pace, and enjoy the beautiful art and really cool text that follows. So let's go with the introduction. I just want to say this art by Wolf School Jack. I know some people from the community were predicting that Wolf School Jack may be the artist who is going to be included in this core book. And yes, I'm very happy to say that Wolf School Jack is indeed one of us, one of our wonderful artists who joined us for this book. And yeah, it's beautiful. And let me get into the introduction. We howl, and our howl echoes Gaia's lament. Our world, our mother, lies dying, and her murderers dance across what remains of her body, digging deeply of her wounds to forge the icons that signify to other hierophants that excess of their glee. We howl, our song stoking our fury. We howl, our packs taking the war form, biting, tearing, killing as Gaia bid us do, but her subjugators are myriad. Those who take from the world to foster their own greed. Those who take from the world so that they can accumulate more, the better to keep the taking and taking in the nights to come, until Gaia's bones have been picked clean. We howl, our dances around the fire stoking our fury. We howl in each other's presence to signal to our undiscovered kin and to call to others of our kind across stripe and moon sign. We must put aside our differences, turn the killing urge against those who paint the mark of the worm upon themselves, and not against each other. We howl our memories of our lost and our fallen, and our spirit-sick betrayers stoking our fury. We howl, wondering, questioning, doubting if stalking our fury can revive our dying mother, or if our fury is but a paean to vengeance, an empty, anguished, monstrous roar at the end of the world. Do you howl with us? And against whom? Who stalks your fury? When will you rage? And this is how Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition starts. This is the apocalypse that is upon us. The apocalypse has either already happened or it's happening right now. And we're going to delve into that a little bit later in the introduction before you will enjoy a little bit more of the art that we've included in this one. This one is probably one of my favorites. It's just so beautiful with the colors, with everything. I just love it so much. And then we dwell into the introduction, which is done not in the werewolf voice, but basically in the book narration voice that gives you a little bit more background on what Werewolf the Apocalypse is all about. And I want to put an emphasis on this thing that we've already shared with you beforehand if you followed our blog post, the Justin Achilles blog post, which dwelt a little bit more about what Werewolf the Apocalypse is going to be about, but it never really is, too late to say and to catch up to the fact that if you are familiar with previous editions of Werewolf, let us be upfront and state that this 5th edition is a reimagining, not a continuation. You can even call it a reboot if you prefer. The truths and lore of the previous editions aren't necessarily true in this edition. Take this book and the world it proposes at face value. Werewolf of the Apocalypse edition introduces the new Werewolf of the Apocalypse, which is partially connecting to its roots to the very first edition, partially it's its own thing. And yeah, we hope that you will enjoy the new reimagination of the system. And of course, Werewolf of the Apocalypse is a storytelling game about radical solutions, exploring an environmental apocalypse in which a range of injustices throughout the world provokes urgent responses and violence. And that violence is almost always righteous, if only subjectively. It's a game about tearing apart your enemies and living with the repercussions. The people who've sold off your future because they don't think you deserve a future at all. Rip those motherfuckers in half. So that is the premise of Werewolf of the Apocalypse. I think this paragraph really sums it up very well. For those of you who are coming from Vampire the Masquerade and you are used to, let's just, I know that vampires are different, and among the vampires there are different types of vampires. I personally play vampires who try to do good. It doesn't really work out. And similarly with werewolves, they might try to do good. It doesn't always work out because their ways of doing it is just pretty bad, but the motivation that werewolves have is mainly inherently unegoistic. It's not about them. It's about the world around them. It's about what surrounds them. It's about the Gaia. And they want to preserve it, or they want to actually either slow down the ongoing apocalypse, which is happening right now, or maybe just fight back a little bit to get a little bit of that world back. Although it does seem to be lost already. So in a werewolf, when you compare the play in general and how you play a werewolf, how you play a Garou to playing a vampire, what my players said during the playtest, and all of them were vampire players, they said that as werewolves, they feel way more actionable. They can actually do something, they have powers that allow them to fight back, even though they might not be the powers enough to stop the apocalypse from happening, but it still feels pretty powerful to play a werewolf and be able to face multiple opponents at once, face very creepy threats from the Umbra, from the other world, the spirit threats, the threats that are possessing our world and trying to make it worse and worse. There's a lot of things that you can do as a werewolf, and I feel like Werewolf is much more a game about action, not in the action movie sense, although you can interpret it this way. You can make a really cool action-themed chronicles with this one, but it's about you being part of the action and you being able to do something, which I think is really cool. Take that stuff into your hands and just rip the evils of this world in half, which is a pretty good feeling, actually. A really cathartic moment for the roleplay. So yeah, also, of course, Werewolf is a game about spirituality. Each of the World of Darkness games provides a different perspective or set of truths it considers to be incontrovertible, and for Werewolf, those truths are animistic. The world crumbles in an ongoing environmental apocalypse because powerful decision makers have opened themselves up to spiritual corruption through the attitudes of short-term greed. Other spirits, however, seek to put the world in order and to continuously refresh reality with inchoate creation. What was originally a cycle among momentous spiritual forces has instead become a malfunctioning imbalance, and werewolves find themselves and their world trapped within it. For the Legacy World of Darkness players and Werewolf of the Apocalypse players, the triad is absolutely still there. As a werewolf, you fight the worm, you try to protect the Gaia, and the force of the rest of the triad is, not necessarily good or bad. We do go deeper into the triad and what the cosmology of werewolf is in this book, not particularly in the introduction, so you won't get the full image of the world, but this is the image of the world that you will get from the very general perspective. And we start with the truths, which I think is a very cool little sum up of what is true for werewolves in World of Darkness. Werewolves have the ability to take numerous forms on a spectrum from lupine to hominid. So you are able to take 5 forms in particular. That is going to be homid, lupus, glabro, hispo, and crinos. And you can change in between them. Basically, these are the forms of human, wolf, werewolf, and things in between. So you can be a more wolfy human, a more werewolfy wolf, and of course the werewolf, which is Krina's form, the nuclear form as we often call it. Werewolves belong to multiple worlds, spirit and flesh, wolf and human, but are wholly accepted by none. They do not really fully belong to our world. They are different, and they do not fully belong to the spirit world either. So it is this this forever, feeling of not exactly. This is not like I am not fully welcomed here. I'm not fully welcomed there either. What do I do with myself? Werewolves are feared and mistrusted by each of the worlds to which they partially belong. Werewolves are creatures of rage, forever at risk of losing control of themselves. This might be known to our vampire players as a mechanic that we use in Vampire the Masquerade, which is hunger. Werewolves do not get hungry per se. I mean, they do eat normal food, and they can get just hungry, and they can be hungry as angry because of the hunger, I guess. But it doesn't work the same way as in Vampire. In Werewolf the Apocalypse, we use rage, which works a little bit differently than hunger, but you may get some idea on where this is going. Werewolves are charged with an unreliable greater purpose by Gaia, spiritual entity who is herself inherently unknowable. You're not going to talk to Gaia, perhaps. You're not going to really get quests from Gaia. Gaia is not going to tell you exactly what to do to fix this world. You're going to have your own interpretation of what to do in order to help Gaia. And this interpretation may be different depending on the werewolf. You may disagree on what is the best way for your course of action. Werewolves consider the wyrm, a primal force of entropy and decay, to be the chief threat to Gaia, and much of Garua's existence is spent confronting its agents, real or imagined. As you can see, there is some subjectivity in there. Werewolves are not the inherent good guys. It's not like, being a werewolf and using your violent rage in order to fight the evil is going to put you up on the pedestal as a champion. It is still a world of darkness, and it is still a world of a lot of shades of gray. And with vampires, trying to be good, but the beast always puts you puts you down, and make sure that you're in check. You're still a monster. As a werewolf, you are still a monster as well. The rage is within you. Your ways may not be the good ways. And it's always about this kind of ethical conflict. So, yeah. We do have a little bit more in here. I'm not going to get deeper into this part, but I'm going to go into the next page about what do werewolves do. Again, this whole page is going to be, everything is going to be available for you to download for free from Renegade product page. So you'll be able to check this in detail at your own pace. So let's go to what do werewolves do and go for the cursive text to give you a little bit more of a general perspective on this. The most immediate things that werewolves do is fight to take back what has been lost. And this, of course, can be a physical fight, but it can be also more of a metaphorical fight. What do you do in order to take back what has been lost through the apocalypse? The world, the Gaia is dying or dead. You don't really know what's going on out there. The situation is really bad. The waters are polluted. We may not see that as humans. We may be not aware of what is going on outside. We very often are not, but werewolves are. And with all of this happening, as a werewolf, you are having various interpretations on what to do in order to bring a little bit of that back. You're also building your own legend. Renown is especially important to the Garou. It represents the deeds they've accomplished that have value in werewolf society. It represents spirits' esteem for them and willingness to help them perform special gifts and rites. This is important. It's a part of the mechanic. Renown is allowing you to use various gifts and rites. There are 3 types of renown in the game, and we will be getting deeper into them later. But with the renown, it's instead of basically investing in specific discipline trees as you would in Vampire, you are investing your points in renown. You're gaining renown throughout the game, and it allows you to unlock more powerful gifts and rites. So that's from the mechanical perspective. Now, exploring the mysteries of the Umbra. The Umbra, of course, is the spiritual world, and there is a cosmology to it, but Umbra is also a very interesting storytelling tool. of your players being able, with of course some luck if you allow them to enter Umbra from any point in time and place and be able to see the real world from its spiritual side. So let's say your players, for whatever reasons, want to do a haste on the bank, and the pack is trying to basically get inside of this corporate building. How does this corporate building look like from the spiritual perspective? As a storyteller, you can be an artist painting the picture of how the world functions in the spiritual way for your players. And I think it's a super fascinating part of how Werewolf can be led as a storyteller. And of course, werewolves must be forever vigilant for others of their kind who don't yet know what they are. Kin-seeking Garou are always looking out for others of their kind, because the kin, we're going to get to the lexicon later, are the werewolves that still do not know that they are werewolves. They're not accepted into the Garou society just yet. And there are plenty of them, and they may be doing some very bad stuff because they don't have control over themselves. They have no idea what they are. So Kin-seeking Garou are the ones who try to prevent any disasters from happening, basically. And this is a part of the storytelling games and the role-playing, so there's things here must be familiar mostly to players, to storytellers who played Vampire. As usual, Werewolf the Apocalypse, as all World of Darkness games, is very story-driven, more story, a little bit less action, but of course you can make these games more role-focused and action-focused. It's just that at the core, the game values storytelling more than mechanics and rolling. But of course, do however you please. And I've been already playtesting myself and being a storyteller for Werewolf, and you can really lead it in various different ways. In my playtesting where I was a player, we wanted to really push the mechanics to its boundaries and just like test everything. So it was very action on action, Krynos form almost all the time, just like there's a lot of threat being pushed our way. We were in a very dangerous situation and we were just fighting for our lives. So there's a lot of that high-end action in there. While when I was storytelling, I was trying to push my players to go into Krynos, but they were not very into going nuclear for most of the time, and majority of my playtest was actually done in other forms. So my players went into Glabro, Hispo, so the middle forms, but they didn't go into Krynos up until very late in the story. So that was very interesting. And now we can go below to, we have the players, we have players, and of course the mature content warning. This warning is of course very important because, as usual, World of Darkness games tackle a lot of difficult topics, and depending on the storyteller, depending on your table, there may be very dark topics being brought up, and this book also brings up these dark topics, things that are, you know, taken from the real world, and things that we have to deal with in the real world. So this warning is here at the beginning in order to make sure to prepare people for the content in this book, but also there is a mention of the appendix. So there is a third appendix at the very end of Werewolf the Apocalypse book, which is going to be available in the core book, that has specific techniques on how to handle difficult subjects in your game in a fashion that's respectful to your players and their experiences. So this is super important. Please do read this part and read the appendix once the book is out, just because there's also, like for World of Darkness, the TTRPG books are in a basic way written for people playing at their tables in a small knitted groups. So you have a pack of friends, people who know each other, sit down at the table and they play together. They are able to very clearly use these tools in order to say, okay, we are going to put these safety measures, we're going to use this particular tool because that works for us, and these are the content and the triggers which we're going to avoid. Now there's a lot of more methods of role-playing. There is, multiplayer massive Discord roleplay, there is VR roleplay, there's LARPing, there's convention roleplay. So you have to tweak the game depending on these particular places. There's a lot that we cover about this in the player's guide, but it all depends on the particular space where you roleplay and how you roleplay to tweak the game in order to make it the safest for people involved. So do keep it in mind if you are trying some non-traditional methods of roleplay as well. And last but not least, in this preview, we have a lexicon, which in majority, or I think even all of these, is very similar to, if you played War of the Apocalypse in the past, you should know most of these words. But of course, there's a lot of like maybe simplification, but also things that should make it easier for the new players that are going to jump into War of the Apocalypse. So yeah. We have some things here also that are a part of the mechanics. I'm going to dwell a little bit more into that. I feel like we've covered some of these in our past blog posts, but just to give you a little sneak peek, Harano and Hoglosk are here, but you do not see humanity here. For vampire players, humanity is the tracker that you have on your character sheet that shows you what is your how far you are from your beast, how far you are from becoming a wight. In War of the Apocalypse, you do not have this humanity system. Instead, there is Harana and Hoglosk trackers, which work in a little bit of a different way, but if you have a grasp on how humanity works, you will be able to grasp Harana and Hoglosk very quickly. Similarly to hunger mechanic and the rage mechanic. If you have a grasp on how hunger works, rage shouldn't be difficult for you to understand. We are basing the design of these books on quite similar game principles. So from game design perspective, it shouldn't be that difficult to jump from one to the other. It's just that rage dice, similarly to how despair dice work in desperation dice work in Hunter, they have different flavor to fit werewolves more. So yeah, we do have the lexicon in here. This whole introduction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pages are available for you on the product page of Werewolf the Apocalypse on Renegade page, on the Renegade store page. It's going to be linked down below if you're watching us on YouTube, and yeah, if you're watching us on Twitch, maybe Hadi can drop the link. And let me jump into more stuff because we do have some more stuff to share with you today. First of all, I would like to jump into the translations. Now, this release is very early, so our translation partners didn't have a lot of time to prepare the covers just yet. So we only have a few selected covers of the planned upcoming translations, but they should give you a nice little preview of what we are planning in here. So we have Delta Vision bringing Werewolf the Apocalypse into Hungary. I cannot pronounce this, so I'm sorry. I'm not going to try because I'm going to butcher it, but Delta Vision is bringing Werewolf the Apocalypse to Hungary. We have Nosolrol bringing Werewolf the Apocalypse into Spanish. We have Alice Games bringing Werewolf into Polish with Wilkołak Apokalipsa. And then we have Ulises Spiele bringing Werewolf into German, Need Games with Italian, Arkham Asylum with French, and these are the covers that we have so far, but there's going to be more translations. For those of you from Brazil who are tuning in, Galapagos Hogos is going to share more information about their calendar with you before July, so please keep their social media followed and, you know, just like wait for more news because Galapagos Hogos is going to also join with more dates and previews for you. And that's not all. We're going to have more, but these are the ones I have the covers for right now. And there are the websites in here if you want to go check out what they have in their catalogs. So yeah. Also, last but not least, we want to talk to you a little bit about the tribes. And when it comes to the tribes, we would like to show you the previews of the tribes, but not today. What we're going to do is we're going to have a poll in which you will decide which particular tribe you want to see first. And to make it easier for those of you who do not know the tribes from Werewolf the Apocalypse, here is the updated infographic with the final names of the clans, of the tribes, sorry. I'm going to make this mistake a lot, which dwells deeper into the tribes. So here's the general overview of them. As you can see, there is one new name that you might have not noticed before. Heart Wardens is the new name of the tribe that was once known in the previous Legacy editions as Fianna. So we have Hard Wardens, we have, of course, Black Furies, Bond Knowers, Children of Gaia, Hard Wardens, Gale Stalkers, Ghost Council, Glass Walkers, Red Talons, Shadow Lords, Silent Striders, and Silver Fangs. So these are the tribes, and we are going to share with you a poll right after the stream. And for those of you who are watching us on YouTube, below the video, you're going to have the link to the poll in which you will decide which is the tribe that you want to hear about first. And we're going to give you a preview of this particular tribe. So we're going to do just that. And for those of you who are here with us on the on the stream, I'm actually going to drop you this poll here in the chat because this is going to be all today for Werewolf, and we're going to dwell deeper into the Vamily Spotlight right after this. So here's the form for you, the people on the stream, where you will be able to cast your votes. Let me know if this works for you. And in the meantime, I am going to see if our dear Hadi is awaiting us, and we're going to dwell deeper into the wonderful Vamily Spotlight that Hadi has prepared. Let's see if Hadi is with us. Doo-doo-doo. A woo.
A woo.
A woo. Hello, Hadi. Nice to see you. How are you doing?
I'm good. Hopefully you can't hear the construction work.
Oh, for some reason, I am shown twice in here. There we go. You're here.
That's fine. You don't need to see me. It's totally fine.
No, this is good. So what do you think about Werewolf previews so far?
Well, I love it. You know, my favorite thing is about the art.
Yes,
that's the very first thing I told you.
Of course. And now that we're going deeper into the previews, I guess we can say Hadi was a part of my wonderful group of playtesters. What do you think about the playtest and the very first Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition Chronicle that you participated in?
I enjoyed it very much. It was, I will say, it's very much a mental shift from going from vampire to werewolf.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, as the storyteller, took us until like the third or fourth session to really give into the rage, so to speak.
Yeah, it took you a long time, but it was actually really fun because I predicted that maybe you will just want to go full Krynos immediately, but no, you were restrained players. And I have to say, this is a wild guess, but I feel like a lot of vampire players, people who played vampire before, are going to have this careful approach, because as a vampire you were not really allowed to do as much, and doing this much is risky, super risky for vampires.
Mm-hmm.
How did you feel? What was the power levels for you?
I think you gave us a lot of power, and I think I really, like, more so than when I play vampire, I think I really went full on into the character that I was playing in terms of the powers that they would have. Mm-hmm. And it came in a lot more handy than I ever anticipated.
Yeah. That's great.
Because I basically made a non-combat, a non-combat Garu, which is not really a thing, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, you were very non-combat, but still in the Krynos form, or in the at some point you were able to really deal a lot of damage just because you used your gifts and your forms in a proper way, which is super fun.
It was really fun to get the killing blow, so to speak. So yeah.
Even when you are a nerd, you can get
basically. Okay, there we go. That's much better. I made a nerd,
which is great.
Well, a spiritual nerd. It's called a spiritual nerd.
But speaking of us being nerds about people's stuff, let's go into our beautiful board. That just in general today, this whole board is so gorgeous, and I'm so happy. Mm-hmm. And let's start with top left.
Yes. Sorry, my internet's so bad. It's taking forever to load this in. There we go. Athens by Night VTM LARP. Of course, we've talked about the various LARPs. Of course, we've talked about Athens by Night before, and other LARPs that go on in Greece. Greece and Poland, really, I feel like and Italy, I feel like they're all competing with each other to see who could run the most LARPs in their country.
Yes, top LARPs.
But this is season 6, Grand Elysium, and it just looks so fun. It's beautiful. Could you imagine? I can't.
I've never been to Greece, and I keep on wanting to go to Greece whenever we do this, because there's always some content from Greece, and it just it's so beautiful. and like they are just like the costumes and like this whole place, the fact that they found the balcony that probably the prince can speak from, it's just wonderful.
Mhm.
It's magical. I love it.
Yeah, I'm so incredibly impressed. Again, I always say this, but go check out all of the different international, I'll say, LARPs on Instagram. They're all amazing. They all look
Yes,
gorgeous.
it's super cool. And now we have I am a Lionheart.
Hmm. Meet my 68er, which is how you would say. I just realized that they're German because I looked at the bottom of it.
Mhm.
That's how you'd say it in German. Revolutionary Bruja cosplay by me. Now, what I really liked about this picture is obviously they are a very lovely looking person, but the way that they edited the picture in the reflection looks like a much, much older person and blew me away. It's
Oh,
very subtle, but I really enjoyed it.
I haven't even noticed that. This is so interesting. But the
Hmm.
lights and everything is just so beautiful. And
Yeah, it's just a very subtle edit to add sort of more wrinkles and things like that, and I loved it.
I have to say that for me, Berlin is a super vampire city. It's so vampire.
Oh yeah,
We should have more Berlin by night stuff because Berlin is awesome.
everyone who goes to Berghain is a vampire. Everyone knows that.
To what? You have to give me some tea. What?
Berghain. It's like this really famous club, and like only like a select few people get in, and you basically party for 3 days. Yeah.
Okay, I'm interested or not. I don't know. I never go to clubs, but this sounds cool. That's so fun.
College.
Like the whole techno scene, right? And the rave scene and all that stuff. I
He's
feel
sort
like
of so it's sort of the main player of the rave scene in Berlin.
I would love to check it out one day. Take me, honey.
Well, I mean, I would never get in, and maybe you wouldn't either.
No, we would just be like in front of the doors, like, hello, can we please see what's inside? We are of age, I promise. Okay, and now we have Lilai Leaf.
Hmm. The one and only Phoenix, the hottest Toreador on the Anarch side of the city. What again, you can really, I mean, of course, the art is beautiful, is gorgeous, very Toreador. But the thing you can always get me with when I look through the massive amounts of art every week, fan art, is the caption. So they're implying that on the Camarilla side there are hotter Toreadors, and that just made me laugh.
That is true. There's like a little bit of a self jab in here, like the hottest orator on the honor side of the city.
Yeah, as opposed to the rest of it.
But I love the Toreador vibe coming from this picture. It's super gorgeous. I have a friend who looks similar to this one, but this is like a yassified version with the makeup and the hair. So I have to send it to her and be like, look, this is Yas a vampire. It's really cool. And yeah, a lot of love to the Toreador, which I am actually wondering, what do you think is going to be the tribe that Toreador players are going to pick in Werewolf?
The Heart Wardens.
I think Heart Wardens, right? Like that was my like first thought, but I'm not sure. I know that
I have to say the Heart Wardens.
I gotta say Nosferatu, Salubri, players would definitely.
Wait, no, you're too fast. Nosferatu, Bone Gnawers, right?
Yeah, and Salubri also Bone Gnawers. That's what I'm thinking.
No. Children of Gaia.
Children of Gaia, maybe. I don't know. I feel like I played like Bone Gnawer and it was so awesome. and I'm a huge Salubri fan, so maybe.
Oh, I love the Bone Gnawers. They're great.
Yeah.
Glasswalkers and Bone Gnawers are like my two favorite.
And now we have Magi RPG.
Yeah, Magi RPG. Of course, this was posted a while ago, but in 3 hours, our new coterie is embraced, and we begin our first session of Ancestral Blood, Magi RPG's first Vampire the Masquerade Chronicle. Which we love to see this. We love to see, TTRPG Twitch channels or regular Dungeons and Dragons channels try Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah, it's so nice, and also I just want to say these avatars are gorgeous, and I love them. Look at them.
I like the grumpy one. The two on the right remind me of like Grumpy Sunshine, so I like that.
Also hot. So that's that's exactly how Vampire the Masquerade usually is. Even when you have Nosferatu, they're just so hot. I wonder where we're going to get some little plans for Werewolf the Apocalypse hot characters. I want to see
Yeah.
what is going to be the
Yeah, why didn't you draw us hot characters for our
wow
playtesting?
wow. I will probably draw my Bon Nower one day, but my Bon Nower is not very hot, but you know, the vibe is fun.
Yeah, the
Oh,
vibe is hot.
look at this from F. Headley
Mhm.
Designer.
A tribute to the most bodybuilder priest of all time. Always firm and strong, fighting against the opposing forces. We love Hunter the Reckoning art, especially when they go off the color palette of the book.
Yes.
And this is a buff himbo priest who's just, ready to fight everything that goes bump in the
I
night.
never thought I would hear the words himbo and priest in the same sentence, but now that you said it, I want to go back in time and never hear it again in my life. But yes, this color palette, it can be just printed in the book. It's so good. It fits 100 Reckoning so much. And I have to say, this palette never gets old. Like, I just keep on really liking it. Like, when I see art done in this palette, I'm like, hey, this is the vibe I like. So
yeah, it's awesome. I love it.
And now we have Arceus 555.
This is for you to read. This, of course, the memes are always for you.
Totally didn't steal that idea from somewhere. Protean, shapeshifting, animalism, control animals, chemistry. How does it feel to have a snake for penis?
As someone who has had 2 Ravnos players, and a Salubri with chemistry and Fata Morgana, they get very don't ask. They get very creative with their illusions, and that's exactly how it goes.
Really thank you from the bottom of my heart, and thank this memer for saying chemistry and not saying vicissitude. Thank you so much for not going there.
Yeah, that small favors, right?
Oh, Neon Jess, this character I've seen a lot, and whenever I see this character, I'm like hot, hot.
Yes. Yeah, they've done a lot of it's very recognizable by the neck tattoo. They've done this character quite a few times, but it's just their latest version, and love.
Yeah, so he's called Acheron, or they're called Acheron. It's a Battle Sombra, and there's just a lot of really awesome OC art of this character, and I think Neon just also commissioned some other people to do that art. But majority is done by Neon Jess, and just so gorgeous and so hot and so beautiful. If you like hot vampires, yeah, go follow Neon Jess.
There's a reason that I can't do art, because I would just never stop doing this. So that's why I can't. I'd be too powerful.
I just like, yeah, it's a struggle, because sometimes you're like, oh, I have to work, I have to take care of my kid, I have to do things, but I also want to draw hot vampires.
I have to take care of my
kid. It's it's a struggle, forever struggle.
You couldn't have made that more about yourself, because you're like, oh, I have to work. I'm like, oh yeah, well, everyone has to work. And you're like, I have to take care of my kid. And I'm like, wait,
people
are you
have
talking about
kids, okay? I'm not the only person under a kid. Oh, and this one, I've seen this already. It always makes me so happy when people are using the palettes and they are inspiring people to do things. It's so nice.
Sorry.
Okay. So
I'm sure you heard my dog come barreling into the room.
No, I didn't hear that.
It sounded like a stampede. Oh, yeah, so this is I think I sent this to you already, but this is H9 Illis, and basically they say here that they've taken a little break from doing art, and then they want to get inspiration by using the palette, and of course they're starting with their clan Malkavian. So I think that's really cool.
It's so beautiful.
It is.
I have to say, like, yeah, I'm happy with the palettes, and this is going to sound very like, I did a good thing, but no, like, really, the fact that so many people are doing art out of them and getting inspired out of them means that it was worth doing it. It was really worth doing that, and I'm so happy that this is getting a new use and inspiration, and this art is absolutely gorgeous. I love the broken glasses, which are kind of like a wink to the broken mirror for the Malkavians, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah, we've also seen other people in the community use the palette for makeup, which is great.
Yes, that's so good. And now we have a meme from
this is for you.
Inquisitorial Tribble. It all makes sense in context. Learning 19th century cursive to play an Ancilla. Learning 19th century to play a neonate turning 2013, who is just that extra.
I feel like you would play that character.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. Thank you for a read. But yes, it's my Salubri, actually. Oh my god. Oh
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
But yes, it's also like I love playing Ancilla that really struggle to stay relevant, but they really want to. Like it's my little thing that I just really adore. I'm just like thinking about bringing back my Alterator, who was my oldest character I've ever played. And I was thinking about, like, hey, I'm going to pretend not to be a fledgling, and the other player was like, you can't pretend to be a fledgling. Like, what would be his phone? I was like, yeah, probably just like a basic iPhone with apps installed by the person in the store because he wouldn't know how to install any apps. And be like, yeah, I'm totally 22. So,
No, I mean, if you really want to like fail at selling being a fledgling, you'd have to go get like one of those brick phones,
yeah, but I mean,
like
because
from
like, no, this
a
doesn't
corner
work. This
shop
is
or
just like,
whatever.
this swiping thing is so weird. Apple has all these gestures you have to do. Like, who the hell knows, how to do that? So
Hmm.
yeah, it's wonderful. Cynical Tuba.
Yeah, this is another meme inspired art. This is a Nosferatu talking to a Malkavian. I've never done anything wrong ever in my life, and the Nosferatu replies, "I know this, and I love you,"
Oh, I love them.
which is, of course, a very, very common and
Of
popular meme.
course, I love them so much. It's so good. It also reminds me of the meme of I had this Nosferatu just for one day, but if anything happened to him,
Yeah, yeah,
I would kill
yeah,
everyone
yeah.
in this room.
I'm not sure if those are both from the show. I know one of them is from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I'm not sure if they're both from the same show, but perfect memes to go
That's so
together.
cute. And now ATL by night. Oh, it's beautiful.
Hmm. Yep. So this was when they were obviously airing their episode. The group meets up with an accomplished Toreador for help entering the Shadowlands to find out just what happened to an old friend. And writing vampires is the person featured in the picture, and they are absolutely stunning.
Super stunning. Good luck on the Shadowlands. This is going to be a survival game.
Also, I love a Toreador helping them into the Shadowlands. We love an Oblivion
Toreador.
Toreador.
Can you imagine just being like,
Yes, I can. It's immediately I wrote that down somewhere when I
Abyss
read
is
it.
just so pretty. I fell in love with a ghost.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that sort of like degraded and rusting or whatever, however the Shadowlands looks in the particular area. I mean, that could exactly be their
Yeah.
aesthetic.
And now we go to Peregrine Arts.
Hmm. Another Toreador, of course. Toreador's presence might be pretty tricky, and presence always is tricky. We talked about this last week. How scary
Yes,
presence
it
is.
is very, very scary. I feel like presence is also like something that you should probably discuss on session 0 on how you want to have it used, because there's a lot of like really, really risky content you can jump into by using presence or dominate in your games, which is always like my thought was like it is just much easier to explore. Yeah, potence, like let's just punch someone or protean or stuff like that. But presence and dominate are creepy. And I think this shows it in a very nice way. It's like you do have this gorgeous character by default, just like probably doesn't need any more oomph, any supernatural powers to attract all the attention in the club. But then you have that power. Do you use it? Right? It's nice.
Hmm.
Really cool picture.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of the players that I play with are like, "Oh,"
Yep, yeah, that's true. Yep. And
and I'm like,
I've been
"Okay."
like, I found a really cool players because I've been playing a Toreador. Like that was my very first character I've played in 5th edition, and I was exploring a lot of these themes of how others react to him, although he tries to be this like popular guy, right? And I had a lot of
Mhm.
players who fortunately like countered it in a very cool way, and it was not in the roles; it was in the role play of being like, I felt that moment when he was talking, I felt like he was really convincing, but I don't know if it was natural. Is it ever my thoughts? Is it ever me thinking that? Or is it something supernatural in this? I don't trust this guy. So, like, I had a lot of players just countering it with their rationality, and this really put a new flavor to it. So, yeah. You cannot be just, invincible as a cool, charismatic orator, which is great.
No. The only thing I was gonna say about the picture is it reminds me of inside the club in Blood Hunt, inside the dance
Yeah.
club. So That's
Yeah,
what it reminds me of.
for me, it reminds me of Bloodhunt, I think. Yeah. The
The
discotheque.
discotheque. I'm not sure
Maybe
what
it's
it's called.
that. Who knows? And now we have Fianel.
We featured them before, and they always have very
Let's
funny
see.
TikToks.
Put this in there. Yes.
Horse used the elevator.
I hope so.
I didn't know he knew how to do that.
Wait.
Horse
The
used
camera
the
not being
elevator.
reasonable. Okay, now I get it.
I didn't know they could do
How to
that.
do that.
Which, you know, as someone who has never run a Camarilla game, always an Anarch game, I find
The
that
first time I
particularly
watched it, I
funny.
didn't see the caption, and I was like, "The horse? What is the horse? What's the metaphor for?" But now I get it.
You need to get on TikTok more because that John Mulaney sound is very popular. You need to get back. You
I do need
need
to spend more time on TikTok.
TikTok.
I will. I promise. Oh my god, there's so much stuff I need to do, but I will.
Yeah, I'll make you a
Okay,
list.
do me a
Don't worry
list.
about
It's going to
it.
be great. By the way, folks, do check out Vampire the Masquerade on TikTok. That account is majorly run and filled with content by wonderful Hattie, who does just super awesome stuff there. And yeah, you're gonna enjoy it.
Thank you.
And now we have Hanazaria.
Again, Toreador and Malkavian win the week, as you know, as
Mhm.
usual, the pattern. This is I'm just here for the violence. Jenny using the phone booth. Who is she calling? And I love this sort of storytelling
Yeah.
through art because Hanazaria has sort of this entire collection of their art and very much the same style, different characters existing in the same world, and it's just really cool. Plus, the background says I'm just here for the violence, which is
That is so cool.
amazing.
Yeah, I love the little silhouette in the background, the colors, the light are just so beautiful, so good. I would love to see like a webcomic from Daria or something. That would be super cool.
Oh, absolutely.
And now we go down. Yes,
Make that
it
happen.
We go to Storyteller's Vault / Unbound. After Dark, night scenery for VTM.
So, of course, many people in the family know Tati Malkavian. And they just released a night scenery pack, sort of a photo pack for use in your games, use for inspiration in your games. It's like, for me personally, these things come in incredible use because I run most of my games online or most of my games on Discord, and I need locations. I need the vibe to be set well, and you know, for players to be able to look at it as you're describing it, I think helps. So this is awesome, and it's all photography done by Tati Malkavian and Daniel. So it's perfect for use.
Last time I remember we also featured the photography book, and if you are like looking for assets to fill in your Storyteller Vault supplements or your home campaigns, I know that it is very tempting to use AI, especially in the modern day and age. But I just want to say that sometimes it's just so much more inspiring to get an inspiration from an existing artwork that is being lent to you either for free or for a very small price from other Vampire the Masquerades authors, storytellers, and players. And in this case, on Storyteller's Vault, we have a lot of that. There's a lot of art books, a lot of photography books, and a lot of really cool content. A lot of that free, too. Like, there's plenty of free content you can just download and check it out. So, yeah, in my recommendation for you, if you are looking for art, try this step. I think this is cooler. You know, when you are dwelling in AI, you may just like as well go into spirals of no, I have to change my prompt. No, this doesn't look good enough. No, it doesn't do exactly what I want. Best to have inspiration from art like this, my opinion. But yeah. So now we go to LA by Night, New York by Night. Yeah.
So at the top here, we have, oh, I can't read that correctly. Izzy AFK artwork. I hope that's correct. This is, of course, this I think was one of the more popular, like lately, the more popular artwork that we've seen from LA by Night is X in the finale of LA by Night. And it's just because it's so sad and touching and drawing with the shackles and both of the necklaces. We've seen multiple versions of this art, him being underwater, because it's a very tragic, touching scene, I think, that affected everyone in the family at the same time.
Like the fact how many art has become of that scene is just a testimony to how powerful this scene was. And yeah, it's I'm still sad when I look at this. Like it's
Yeah, just looking at it makes you
me
sad.
teary. And speaking of, an art that happens often, Java.
Yep, that's sort of the other one is Jeva. Yep. So this is by Cyborg Cinders, and interrupting something. I'm having so much fun drawing these two, and they are not lying. If you go to their Twitter right now, you will see multiple different sets of artwork that they've done of these two characters that they posted all at the same time.
And then we also have Dim Art, and we have Nelly, who is just like, so gorgeous.
Yep. Just looking like the gorgeous toreador that she is.
Like there's a lot of care put into this.
I know.
These are
I love the hand, the fingers and the hair.
These two pieces next to each other, because it also shows how you can show a lot of movement and emotion through very, just a black and white, simpler drawing, and you can then convey this like extra part of Nelly Jen with the.
Well, one thing I've told you a million times is I try and find as many different art styles as I can to feature
and you're doing a great job with that. And speaking of many different things, a meme from Eclectic Fiends.
They haven't stopped. Of course, they keep making these memes of New York by Night, which we love. And yeah, so it's sort of a list of who would stab. And of course, no one fills the would never stab anyone. All of them are capable of stabbing. Coco, Ray, and Isaac would stab someone in retaliation. Braun and Seraph would yell, "I won't hesitate, bitch," first. Fuego and Kalito would stab without warning, and Kiam and Isaac would stab as a warning. I like that Isaac is in two different brackets.
Isaac, you just stab.
It's both a warning and a retaliation.
Would never stop anyone being completely empty. It's just, it's wonderful. Yeah. It's, yes. And now we have Danthi. Oh, I've seen this one already. Yes.
Yeah, I was so excited. I sent this to you right away. So this is the Dan V. Thank you to the LA by Night crew and Vamily by extension. The show and community have helped me through some of the roughest patches of my life. It feels good to work on something with passion again. And for anyone who is a fan of LA by Night, you know exactly what Arachnophore is and what Thorn is. And this just made me so happy. I had to send it off right away so
beautiful
you could see
too.
it.
It's so gorgeous. And the snake skin on the cover and the webbing. It's beautiful, gorgeous. And now
we now need anticipation, which is the other.
And I actually want to say that I haven't predicted what you've put in there. What is this, Hetty?
Okay, so something that I like to do, I don't know if anybody else likes to, but I like to read fan fiction of LA by Night, or I did back when I first joined the Vamily. And there's also, of course, New York by Night fan fiction. And Lady of Rose Fire, I'm going to be totally biased here. I'm so sorry, Outstar. Lady of Rose Fire has written some of my favorite fanfics for LA by Night. And so they've written one for New York by Night. And most of theirs are kind of spicy, if you know what I'm saying. So this one is about Fuego and Ray going to Club Crimson, which is the club owned by Simone of the Ministry. And I can't wait to read it.
Okay.
I'm so excited.
I see. While Fuego, her beast, and their hunger have their wants that she can only try to ignore, Simone delights in unearthing the parts of people they keep hidden. This sounds spicy. I want to read it.
Yes, Lady of Rosefire often writes the spicier ones, but they're all very, very good.
So I promise. Also, a lot of spicy and a lot of non-spicy fanfiction for Vampire the Masquerade on Archive of Your Own. I recommend the site if you want to read some of the cool stuff. And yes, there might be some adult content, so please keep in mind the tags. There are usually the tags which mark whether the fanfiction is explicit, mature, for teenagers, or anything else. So yeah. Thank you so much, Hadi, for joining me for the Vamily Spotlight. You were amazing, and this board is super gorgeous, and I hope to see you again. Not next week, unfortunately, because we won't have What News next week, but in 2 weeks. Right?
Okay, I'll be here. I'll be here, ready to rage.
Thank you so much, Hadi, and see you later. Bye.
Bye.
And going back to our beautiful board and screen to give you a little sum up of everything we've covered today, we have shared the first 10 pages of Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition with the introduction lexicon, and you are able to read them right now on the Renegade Game Store product page for Werewolf the Apocalypse. You can just get them from there, and yeah, let us know how you enjoy them on discord.gg/World of Darkness. On top of that, we also shared some of the first translated covers for the planned translations of War of the Apocalypse in Hungarian, Spanish, in Polish, in German, Italian, and French, as well as notified or Brazilian fans that Galapagos Hogos is also preparing some news for them that are going to share later. These were done on a very, very short terms with basis with all of these partners, so we're so happy that we were able to give you a little bit of a sneak peek already. And also the updated War of the Apocalypse tribe sheet with the new name for a clan, which you may know from the Legacy editions as Fianna, Heart Wardens, who are a little change from the previous previews that we've presented. And now we would love you to vote for which of these tribes you would like to see first as the preview for War of the Apocalypse. Which of them do you want to have covered in detail as the very first one? The form will be shared below the YouTube video if you're watching us on YouTube, on our social media, and also in the Twitch chat. Let me drop it in Twitch chat for everyone to see. If I said clans, I'm sorry. Yeah, keep on. It's tribes, of course. But I always, it's jumping from one spot to the other. You may make that mistake. But of course, the tribes. You may pick the tribe that we're going to cover next. And yeah, for now on, for those of you who are live on the stream with us, I will be jumping to our studio room to do a little Q&A. For those of you who are watching us on YouTube, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you will enjoy this preview. Let us know what you think on Discord, social media, comments, wherever you want to. And do remember, War of the Apocalypse 5th edition is the reimagination of the system. It doesn't follow the meta plot of the Legacy. Previous editions, we are doing this anew, and we hope that you will enjoy this brand new take on Werewolf. Do not get lost in the night, and goodbye.